Hello and welcome to the fifth session of the Hobbit Read, Enjoy, and Learn. Today we're going to start the end, start the beginning, start the end of the Hobbit. I am happy to say that we are going to read two entire chapters here, and there will be no homework. So that's great. But we will meet today, next Thursday, and the next Thursday to finish with the book together. But we will always start with a little review of the previous chapters. This time, I almost didn't have time to finish it all because there were 4 chapters that we had to read, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So we should have finished until the 13th, but we're going to read the summaries as we usually do a very short Kahoot, and go straight to reading. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen to read the summaries as we usually do from the Center for Fantasy in Oxford, that they always help us. Okay. Facebook. Share sound just in case. Okay. So we always use this. Welcome everybody. So I think I didn't welcome you before. I'm sorry. Welcome Hector, Liz, Omar, and of course, Arondir, Nolwe, and Manuel, that have to be here, not just because they want. All right. And so we're going to read the summaries. These summaries are, well, not the best summaries, but because I think there are so many details that they are missing here, but at least we get an idea of what happened. Okay, this is chapter 10. Who would like to read this summary?
I can start.
Thank you, Hector.
Tolkien skillfully builds up the moment with short clip sentences as the landscape of the great forest ends and the expanse before it becomes clear. Suddenly the cliff fell away, the shore sank, the trees ended. Then Bilbo saw a sight. The lands opened wide about him, and far away is dark head in a torn cloud. There loomed the mountain. Tolkien here portrays the importance of hope to the townspeople. They get through their difficult life by thinking ahead to a brighter future. This reinforces the importance of music and poetry. The songs the dwarves sing at the beginning of The Hobbit, for instance, help to maintain this spirit of hope. The connection of the relative poverty of Lake Time to the disappearance of the dwarf from the lonely mountain again suggests the power when elves, men, and dwarves cooperate rather than fight. When they work together rather than split apart, they set on grit. Bilbo, despite the aptitude for adventure he is developed so far, isn't at all eager to go to the lonely mountain. This raises the question of what exactly Bilbo wants to get out of his quest. It may be that Bilbo wants a healthy balance of adventure and peace, as too much of either one seems to make him anxious.
Thank you. So this is a chapter we started reading together when they arrived in Lake Town. Then chapter 11. It's a short one. Who will read?
Can I read?
Yes, please, Omar.
From Bilbo?
Yes.
Okay. Bilbo and the dwarfs finally reach the Lonely Mountain after an arduous journey. There they have one goal in mind, to find the secret door marked on Thorin's map as quickly as possible. But at first, many days pass without them finding a trace until eventually they do find what they are looking for, but they are unable to open the door. When they had almost given up hope, the last ray of sunlight of the day illuminates a keyhole, and with the key that came with the map, Thorin opens the secret door so that the recapture of Erebor is at last within reach.
Yes, thank you. That was it, chapter 11. Now let's go for chapter 12. Chapter 12. Also short. Who will read?
I'll try.
Thank you, Luis. Yes.
Since Bilbo, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Bilbo and the dwarves reach the Lonely Mountain and find a secret door that leads to the Smoke Slayer. Bilbo bravely volunteers to enter the cave and explore the treasure-filled cavern. He sees Smoke sleeping on an enormous pile of gold and jewels, and has the wit to spy a vulnerable spot on Smoke's chest, and the audacity to steal a beautiful cup. Smoke awakens and searches for the thief. Bilbo cleverly escapes through the door, but Smoke vows to destroy the intruders.
Thank you very much. This chapter is so exciting. I love it. I wish we had read it, but I'm sure that you can enjoy it by yourselves. And finally, chapter 13. Chapter 13. Also a short summary. Manuel? Yeah, read, please.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah. To paraphrase Faramir, this chapter is about Bilbo having a chance to show his qualities again, writing a chapter where very little happens but lays out so much groundwork for what is to come is just brilliant. It is It is chapters like this one that made me fall in love with Tolkien and reading. I remember reading this chapter and wanting more to happen, but not wanting to speed through it just to find out what happens to Smaug. Just in case I miss something important, which, as it turns out, this chapter is full of. Examples of this are the meter code and the Arkenstone, two items intimately tied to the fate of Middle-earth.
When this is the last chapter that was the last piece of homework, that when they enter and see all the treasure, and Bilbo finds the Arkenstone and keeps it for himself. Okay, with this in mind, can you see this screen? The Kahoot?
Yes,
Yeah.
the Kahoot.
Yes.
The Kahoot.
Let's do the Kahoot.
The link.
The link. I have to copy it. How do I copy it? Here. What's with the Ainiako Nolwe Nalwe, the change of name? Liz, nice avatar. Omar, oh, so you.
It's Ainayako,
I'm looking for other.
Ainayako Narwaldaron.
What's the
No
meaning?
more, no more Norway for now.
No more Norway. All right. Then.
This one.
I love Hector. Who is Maximus Decimus? Willie? No, I don't did. Luis?
Me,
The Cornell? No, Manuel?
I am Maximus Decimus
Oh, you are
Meridius.
Maximus Decimus. All right. So Luis is here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got cat.
Is anyone missing? You're all here. Perfect. Let's start. There's no music. Okay. We're go over the 13 chapters. So just we are in context. Okay. The first part, it was reading chapters 1 to 3. What did not happen? Someone's here. Who is it? Oh, Sebastian is back. What did not happen? Tauriel appears for the first time. Bilbo is hired as a burglar. Gandalf saves the party from trolls. Elrond helps the party decipher the map. You should at least tell me what is the correct order, because this is way too easy. Very good. But only 5 answers. There's 6 of you. 7 with Sebastian. Okay.
Time.
You gotta be faster. Next. In chapters 4 to 6, this is the opposite. What actually happened here? Gollum loses the riddles game. The goblins save Bilbo. The dwarves find valuable swords. The wolves and wargs ate the ponies. Sebastian, you can also join. I put the link. Someone else is here. And Daniel. Come.
Good night, guys.
Oh, what? Really? This was supposed to be easy too. Gollum loses the game, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. The goblins don't save Bilbo. Bilbo escapes the goblins. Everybody escapes. The dwarves find valuable swords, but that was in chapter 2 with the trolls. And the wolves and wargs didn't eat the ponies. The goblins did. Wee, wee, wee. Oh. Shame on the Pharaoh. Oh, what? What was that? Is that a question? Okay, let's continue. Juan Daniel and Sebastian, you can enter. I hope you did. What happened in chapters 7 to 9? Okay, great. No, it was different. You had to read the question. In chapters 7 to 9, Beorn helps the party get ready for the next part of the adventure. Legolas and Tauriel fight. Thranduil gives Thorin a warm welcome, or they find friendship in spiders. Good, good, much better. Thranduil doesn't give Thorin a warm welcome. He puts him in a cell, in prison, all of them. Okay, no words about Legolas. And okay, the spider, they weren't friends. Definitely not. But the was it a song or a poem that Bilbo sings to the spider? That was fun. But that doesn't make them friends. I was you. Very good. It's the avatar that gives you the luck. True or false? This is the last chapters. In chapter 10, the dwarves finally arrive at the Lonely Mountain. We just read the summaries of chapters 10, 11, 12, and 13. True. In chapter 10, they haven't arrived. They arrived in Esgaros, not yet at the Lonely Mountain. Wow. Oh, Juan Daniel. Good. Chapter 11. Smaug appears for the first time. No, because in chapter 11, it was a short chapter in which they are trying to find the door or the keyhole, both the door and the keyhole. Good. Oh, I see movement. I see movement. Chapter 12. Gandalf saves the party from Smaug. I don't know why, but I know that the pronunciation is Smaug. I mean, because it's not English, right? English, it wouldn't be pronounced Smaug, but this one is Smaug. But don't ask me why. Is it true or is it false? Very good. Gandalf is nowhere to be seen. He left them after being with Beorn, and then we don't know anything about him. Very good, very good. JD and HD are coming along. And the last chapter, what? Letter E? Oh no, oops, this is from last month. So, well, bonus question from the map. Letter E is obviously Beorn's house. Is letter E Beorn's house? Finishing. No, that is Thranduil's place. Okay. Last but not least. Let's read, but that was not the question. I don't know what happened. There was another question about chapter 13, but oh well. Let's read. Oh, maybe next time. Who is that? JD, you were late, but you were third. Very good. Maximus Decimus. Excellent. And not surprisingly, Omar is the winner. Okay. I'm not going to stop sharing because we are going to read. I'm going to mute it. We must read. I'm going to borrow my book for an hour. That should be the time that should take us to read it all. So Hector will be right back. Okay, who is here to read? Please write something in the chat. Thank you.
Can I read?
Yeah, but I don't know who you are.
Omar?
Omar. Okay. Omar. Juan Daniel. Who else? Luis? You gonna read? No, he's not.
Me, right?
Yes. You're going to read?
Okay.
I mean, just to make a list, to make a short list. Manuel, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Sebastian, do you want to read with us? He's very quiet. And Arondir, okay. Okay, this is gonna be our list. Okay, more or less half a page each. As usual, I tell you until where. I think that's good. Okay, Omar, can you start?
Okay. Chapter 14. Fire and Water. Now, if you wish, like the dwarf, to hear news of smoke, you must go back again to the evening when he smashed the door and flew off in rage 2 days before. The men of the lake town Esgaroth were mostly indoors, for the breeze was from the black east and chill, but a few were working on the quays and watching, as they were fond of doing. The stars shine out from smooth stretches of the lake as they opened in the sky. From their town, the lonely mountain was mostly screened by the low hills at the far end of the lake, through a gap in which the running river came down from the north. Only its high peak could they see in clear weather, and they looked seldom at it, for it was ominous and clear even in the light of morning. Now it was lost and gone, floated in the dark.
Thank,
Suddenly it flickered back to view. A brief glow touched it and faded. Look,
thank you.
said one.
I didn't do that. Juan Daniel.
Thanks. Look, said one. The lights again. Last night the watchmen saw them. Last night the watchmen saw them start and fade from midnight until dawn. Something is happening up there. Perhaps the king under the mountain is forgetting gold, said another. It's long since he went north. It, it is time the songs began to prove themselves again. Which king? Said another with a grim voice. As like as not it is the marauding fire of the dragon, the only king under the mountain we have ever known. You are always foreboding gloomy things, said the others. Anything from floods to poisoned fish. Think of something cheerful. Then, suddenly, a great light appeared in the low place in the hills, and the northern end of the lake turned golden. The king beneath the mountain, they shouted. His wealth is like the sun, his silver like a fountain, his rivers golden run. The river is running gold from the mountain, they cried, and everywhere windows were opening and feet were hurrying.
Okay, thank you. You guys are not reading from the screen, right? I can see, I can see that.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, Luis, your turn.
There was once more a tremendous excitement and enthusiasm, but the green-voiced fellow ran hot-foot to the master. "The dragon is coming, or I am a fool," he cried. "Cut the bridge to arms, to arms." Then warning trumpets were suddenly sounded and echoed along the rocky shores. The cheering stopped, and the joy was turned to dread. So it was so it was that the dragon did not find them quite unprepared. Before long, so great was his speed, they could see him as a spark of fire rushing towards them and growing ever higher and more bright. And not the most foolish doubted that the prophecies had gone right or wrong. Still they had a little time. Every vessel in the town was filled with water. Every warrior was armed. Every arrow and dart was ready, and the bridge to the land was thrown down and destroyed. Before the roar of Smoke's terrible approach great loud, and the lake rippled red as fire beneath the awful beatings of his wings.
Thank you. Manuel?
Okay. Amid shrieks and wailing and the shouts of men, he came over them, swept towards the bride and was foiled. The bridge was gone, and his enemies were on an island in deep water, too deep and dark and cool for his liking. If he plunged into it, a vapor and a steam would arise enough to cover all the land with a mist for days. But the lake was mightier than he. It would quench him before he could pass through. Roaring, he swept back over the town, and hail of dark arrows leaped up and snapped and rattled on his scale and jewels, and their shafts fell back kindled by his breath burning and hissing into the lake. No fireworks you ever imagined equaled the size that night. At the twanging of the bows and the shrilling of the trumpets, the dragon's wrath blazed to its height, till he was blind and mad with it. No one had dared to give battle to him for many an age, nor would they have dared now if it had not been for the green-voiced man, Bart was his name, who ran and who ran to and fro cheering on the archers and urging the master to order them to fight to the last arrow.
Thank you. Fire leaped from the dragon's jaws. He circled for a while high in the air, above them, lighting all the lake. The trees by the shores shone like copper and like blood, with leaping shadows of dense black at their feet. Then down he swooped straight through the arrow storm, reckless in his rage, taking no heed to turn his scaly sides towards his foes, seeking only to set their town ablaze. Fire leaped from thatched roofs and wooden beam ends as he hurtled down and passed and round again, though all had been drenched with water before he came. Once more, water was flung by 100 hands wherever a spark appeared. Back swirled the dragon. A sweep of his tail, and the roof of the great house crumbled and smashed down. flames unquenchable sprang high into the night. Another swoop, and another house, and then another sprang afire and fell, and still no arrow hindered Smaug or hurt him more than a fly from the marshes. Next round. Hector, are you back? Okay, no. Omar.
Yes, yes.
Oh, are you? Care to read? Okay, already.
Okay. Already men were jumping into the water on every side. Women and children were being hauled into laden boats in the market pool. Weapons were flung down. There was mourning and weeping, where but a little time ago the old songs of Smir to come had been sung about the dwarfs. Now men cursed their names. The master himself was turning to his great gilded boat, hoping to row away in the confusion and save himself. Soon all of the town will be deserted, upon down to the surface of the lake. That was the dragon's hope. They could all get into boats for all he cared. There he could have fine sport hunting them, or they could stop until they starved. Let them try to get to land, and he will be ready. Soon he will set all the shoreland woods ablaze and wither every field and pasture. Just now he was enjoying the sport of town baiting more than he had enjoyed anything for years.
Thank you. Okay, Omar.
Okay.
Mhm.
But there was still a company of archers that held their ground among the burning houses. Their captain was Bard, green voices and green face, whose friends had accused him of prophesying floods and poisoned fish. So they knew his word and courage. He was a descendant in long line of Irion, Lord of Day, whose wife and child had escaped down the running river from the ruin long ago. Now he shot with a great yew bow. He loaded his arrows, but one was spent. The flames were near him. His companions were leaving him. He bent his bow for the last time. Suddenly out of the dark something fluttered to his shoulder. He started, but it was only an old thrush. Unafraid, it perched by his ear, and it brought him news. Marveling, he found he could understand its tongue, for he was of the race of day. Wait, wait, it said to him. The moon is rising. Look for the hollow of the left breast as he flies and turns above you. And while Bar paused in wonder, it told him of tidings up in the mountain and of all that it had heard.
Thank you. Juan Daniel.
Okay. Then Bart drew his bowstring to his ear. The dragon was circling back, flying low, and as he came, the moon rose above the eastern shore and silvered his great wings. Arrow, said the bowman, Black Arrow, I have saved you to the last. You have never failed me, and always I have recovered you. I had I had you from my father, and he from old. If ever you come from the forge of the true king under the mountain, go now and speed well. The dragon swooped once more lower than ever, and as he turned and dived down, his belly glittered white with sparkling fires of gems in the moon, but not in one place. The great bow swung, the black arrow sped straight from the screen, Straight for the hollow by the left breast where the foreleg was flung wide. In it smote and vanished bark, shaft, and feather. So fierce was its flight, with a shriek that defiant men felt trees and split stone. Smoke shot spouting into the air, turned over and crashed down from on high in ruin.
You, Luis.
Moment.
Okay.
Full on the town he fell. His last throws splintered into sparks and blitz. The lake roared in. A vast steam leaped up, white in the sudden dark under the moon. There was a hiss, a gushing whir, and then silence. And that was the end of Smoke and Esgaroth, but not of Bard. The waxing moon rose higher and higher, and the wind grew loud and cold. It twisted the white fog into bending pillars and hurrying clouds and dropped it off to the west to scatter in tattered shreds over the marshes before Mirkwood. Then the many boats could be seen dotted dark on the surface of the lake, and down the wind came the voices of the people of Esgaroth, lamenting their lost town and goods and ruined houses. But they had really much to be thankful for had they thought of it, though it could hardly be expected that they should just then. Their quarters of the people of the town had at least escaped alive. Their woods and fields and pastures and cattle and most of their boats remained undamaged, and the dragon was dead. What that what that meant they had not yet realized.
Thank you. Manuel?
Yes, they gathered in mournful crowds upon the western shores, shivering in the cold wind, and their fierce complaints and anger were against the master, who had left the town so soon, while some were still willing to defend it. He may have a good head for business, especially his own business, some murmured, but he is no good when anything serious happened, and they praised the courage of Bard and his last mighty shot. If only he had not been killed, they all said. We will make him a king, Bard the dragon shooter, of the line of Kirion. Alas, that he is lost. And in the very midst of their talk, a tall figure stepped from the shadows. He was drenched with water, his black hair hung wet over his face and shoulders, and a fierce light was in his eyes. Bart is not lost, he cried. He died from Esgaroth when the enemy was slain. I am Bard, of the line of Gideon. I am the slayer of the dragon. King Bard, they shouted. But the master ground his chattering teeth.
Thank
Oh,
you.
okay. Mhm.
Gideon was Lord of Dale, not King of Esgaroth, he said. In the Lake Town, we have always elected masters from among the old and wise, and have not endured the rule of mere fighting men. Let King Bart go back to his own kingdom. Dale is now freed by his valor, and nothing hinders his return. and any that wish can go with him, if they prefer the cold stones under the shadow of the mountain to the green shores of the lake. The wise will stay here and hope to rebuild our town and enjoy again in time its peace and riches. We will have King Bart, the people near at hand shouted in reply. We have had enough of the old men and the money counters. The people further off took up the cry. Up the bowman and down with money bags, till the clamor echoed along the shore. Hector?
Yes, I am the last man to undervalue Bart the bowman, said the master warily, for Bart now stood close beside him. He has tonight earned an eminent place in the role of the benefactor of our town, and he is worthy of many imperishable songs. But why, O people? And here the master rose to his feet and spoke very loud and clear. Why do I get all your blame? For what fault am I to be deposed? Who aroused the dragon from his slumber, I may ask? Who obtained of us rich gift and ample help, and led us to believe the old songs could come true? Who play on our soft hearts and our pleasant fancies? What sort of gold have they sent down the river to reward us? Dragon fire and ring, from whom should we claim the recompense of our damage, a night for our widows and orphans. As you see, the master had not got his position for nothing. The result of his words was that for the moment the people quite forgot their idea of a new king and turned their angry thoughts towards Torin and his company, while bitter words were shouted from many sides, and some of those who had before sung the old song loudest were now heard as loudly crying that the dwarf had stirred the dragon up against them deliberately.
Thank you. How, how exciting. Omar, let's continue.
Okay? Fools, say Bart. Why waste words and wrath on those unhappy creatures? Doubtless they perish pierced in fire before smoke came to us. Then, even as he was speaking, the thought came into his heart of the favorite treasure of the mountain lying without guard, guard of honor, and he fell suddenly silent. He thought of the master's words and of their revealed, and filled with golden bells if he could but find the men. At length he spoke again. This is no time for angry words, master, or for considering waiting plans of change. There is work to do. I serve you still. So after a while I may think again of your words and go north with any that would follow me. Then he strode off to help in the ordering of the camps and in the care of the sick and the wounded, but the master scowled at his back as he went, and remained sitting on the ground. He thought much but said little, unless it was to call loudly for men to bring him fire and food. Now everywhere Bar went, he found talk running like fire among the people concerning the vast treasure that was now unguarded. Men spoke of the recompense for all their harm that they would soon get from it, and well over and to spare with which to buy rich things from the south, and it cheered them greatly in their plight. That what that was as well, for the night was bitter and miserable. Shelters could be contrived for few. The master had one, and there was little food. Even the master went short. Many took ill of wet and cold and sorrow that night. And afterwards died, who had escaped uninjured from the ruin of the town, and in the days that followed there was much sickness and great hunger.
Thank you. Juan Daniel?
Mia, okay. Meanwhile, Bart took the lead and ordered things as he wished, though always in the master's name, and he had a hard task to govern the people and direct the preparations for their protection and housing. Probably most of them would have perished in the winter that now hurried after autumn, if help had not been to hand. But help came swiftly, for Bart at once had speedy messengers sent up the river to the forest to ask the aid of the king of the elves of the wood, and these messengers had found a host already on the move, although it was then only the third day after the fall of Smaug. The Elven King had received news from his own messengers, and from the birds that love his folk, and already knew much of what had happened. Very great indeed was the commotion among all things with wings that dwelt on the borders of the desolation of the dragon. The air was filled with circling flocks, and their swift flying messengers flew here and there across the sky. Above the borders of the forest, there was whistling, crying, and peeping. Far over Milkwood, tidings spread. Smoke is dead. Leaves rustled and startled ears were lit. Even before the Elven King wrote, for the news had passed west right to the pine woods of the Misty Mountains. Bjorn had heard it in his wooden house, and the goblins were at council in their caves.
Thank you. Luis?
That will be the last we shall hear of Thorin Oakenshield, I fear, said the king. He would have done better to have reminded my guest. It is an ill wind all the same, he added. That blows no one any good, for he too had not forgotten the legend of the world of Thor. So it was that Bard's messengers found him now marching with many spearmen and bowmen, and crowds were gathered thick above him, for they thought that war was awaking again, such as such as had not been in those parts for a long age. But the king, when he received the prayers of Bard, had pity, for he was the lord of a good and kindly people. So turning his march, which had the first been direct towards the mountain, he hastened now down the river to the long lake. He had not boats of rafts enough for his huts, and they were forced to go the slower way by foot. But great store of goods he sent ahead by water. Still elves are light-footed, and though they were not in these days much used to the marsh and the treacherous lands between the forest and the lake, their going was swift. Only 5 days after the death of the dragon, they came upon the shores and looked on the ruins of the town. Their welcome was good, as may be expected, and the men and their master were ready to make and bargain for the future in return for the Elven King's aid. Their plans,
Yeah.
their plans.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Antonio. Manuel, finish the chapter.
Okay. Their plans were soon made, with the woman and the children, the old and the unfit. The master remained behind, and with him were some men of craft and many skilled elves, and 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 they busied themselves felling trees and collecting the timber sent down from the forest. Then they set about raising many huts by the shore against the oncoming winter. Uh, Wait, please.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here. Uh, against the oncoming winter, and also under the master's directions, they began the planning of a new town designed more fair and large even than before, but not in the same place. They removed northward higher up the shore, for ever after they had a drink of the water where the dragon lay. He would never again return to his golden bed, but was stretched cold as a stone, twisted upon the floor of the shallows. Uh, There for age his huge bones could be seen in calm weather amid the ruined piles of that old town. But few dare to cross the coarse spot, and none dare to deep dive into the shivering water or recover the precious stone that fell from his rotting carcass. But all the men of arms who were still able, and the most of the elven kings arrived, got ready to march north to the mountain. It was thus that in 11 days from the reign of the town, the head of their host passed the rock gates at the end of the lake and came into the desolate lands.
Great. So we started at 9:30. We finished a chapter in 30 minutes. I think that's great. Let's go on for chapter 15. You ready? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start. Chapter 15. The Gathering of the Clouds. Now we will return to Bilbo and the dwarfs. All night, one of them had watched, but when morning came, they had not heard or seen any sign of danger. But ever more thickly the birds were gathering. Their companies came flying from the south, and the crows that still lived about the mountain were wheeling and crying unceasingly above. Something strange is happening, said Thorin. The time has gone for the autumn wanderings, and these are birds that dwell always in the land. There are starlings and flocks of finches, and far off there are many carrion birds as if a battle were afoot. Suddenly Bilbo pointed. There is that old thrush again, he cried. He seems to have escaped when Smaug smashed the mountainside, but I don't suppose the snails have. Hector.
Sorry. Sure enough, the old thrush was there, and as Bilbo pointed, he flew towards them and perched on a stone nearby. Then he fluttered his wings and sang. Then he cocked his head on one side, as if to listen, and again he sang, and again he listened. I believe he is trying to tell us something, said Balin, but I cannot follow the speech of such a birds. It is very quick and difficult. Can you make it out, Baggins? Not very well, said Bilbo. As a matter of fact, he could make nothing of it at all. But the old fellow seems very excited. I only wish he was a raven. A raven, said Balin. I thought you did not like them. You seemed very shy of them when we came this way before.
Thanks. Omar?
Okay. Those were crows, and nasty, suspicious-looking creatures at that, and rude as well. You must have heard the ugly names they were calling after us, but the ravens are different. There used to be great friendship between them and the people of Stror, and they often brought us secret news and were rewarded with such bright things as they coveted to hide in their dwellings. They live many a year, and their memories are long, and they hand on their wisdom to their children. I knew many among the ravens of the rock when I was a dwarf lad. This very high was once named Ravenhill because there was a wise and famous pair, old Kark and his wife, that lived here above the guard chamber. But I don't suppose that any of that ancient breed linger here now. No sooner had he finished speaking than the old thrush gave a loud call and immediately flew away. You may not understand him, but that old bird understands us, I am sure, said Balin. Keep, keep watch now and see what happened.
Thanks. Ananiel?
Before long, there was a fluttering of wings, and back came the thrush, and with him came a most decrepit old bird. He was getting blind. He could hardly fly, and the top of his head was bald. He was an aged raven of great size. He alighted stiffly on the ground before them, slowly flapped his wings, and bowed towards Thorin. "O Thorin, son of Freyr, and Balin, son of Fondin," he croaked, and Bilbo could understand what he said, for he used ordinary language and not bird speech. "I'm Rot, son of Kark. Kark is dead, but he was well known to you once. It is 100 years and 350 since I came out of the egg, but I do not forget what my father told me. Now I am the chief of the great ravens of the mountain. We are few, but we remember still the old king that was of old. Most of my people are abroad, for there are great tidings in the south. Some are tidings of joy to you, and some you will not think so good. Behold, the birds are gathering back again to the mountain and to Dale from south and east and west, for word has gone out that smoke is dead.
Thanks.
Dead? Okay.
Manuel?
Okay. Dead. Dead? Shuddered the dwarf. Dead. Then we have been in needless fear, and the treasure is ours. They all sprang up and began to caper about for joy. Yes, dead, said Roak. The thrush may his feathers never fall, saw him die, and we may trust his words. He saw him fall in battle with the men of Esgaroth the third night back from now, at the rising of the moon. It was some time before Thorin could bring the dwarf to be silent and listen to the raven's news. At length, when he had told all the tale of the battle, he went on. So much for joy, Thorin Oakenshield. You may go back to your halls in safety. All the treasure is yours for the moment. But many are gathering hither beside the birds. The news of the death of the guardian has already gone far and wide, and the legend of the world of Thor has not lost in the telling during many years. Many are eager for a share of the spoil. Already a host of the elves is on the way, and carrion birds are with them hoping for battle and slaughter. By the lake men murmur that their sorrows are due to the dwarfs, for they are homeless and many have died, and smoke has destroyed their towns. They too thinking to find amends from your treasure, whether you are alive or dead.
Thank you. Your own wisdom must decide your course. But 13 is a small remnant of the great folk of Durin that once dwelt here, and now are scattered far. If you will listen to my counsel, you will not trust the master of the lake men, but rather him that shot the dragon with his bow. Bart is he, of the race of Dale, of the line of Gideon. He is a green man, but true. We would see peace once more among dwarfs and men and elves after the long desolation, but it may cost you dear in gold. I have spoken. Hector?
Then Thorin bursts forth in anger. Our thanks, Kark's son. You and your people shall not be forgotten, but none of our goals shall thieves take or the violent carry off while we are alive. If you will earn our thanks still more, bring us news of any that draw near. Also, I will beg of you, if any of you are still young and strong of wing, that you will send messengers to our king in the mountains of the north, both west from here and east, and tell them of our plight. But go especially to my cousin dying in the Iron Hills, for he has many people well armed and dwells nearest to this place. Bid him hasten. I will not say if this counsel be good or bad, croaked Roak, but I will do what can be done. Then off he slowly flew. Back now to the mountain, cried Thorin. We have little time to lose. And little food to use, cried Bilbo, always practical on such points. In any case, he felt that the adventure was, properly speaking, over with the death of the dragon, in which he was much mistaken, and he would have given most of his share of the profits for the peaceful winding up of these affairs. Back to the mountain, cried the dwarfs, and if they had not heard him, as if they had not heard him, so back he had to go with them.
Thank you very much. Krista is here. Krista, would you like to read?
Sure.
Thank you.
As
Sorry.
you have heard, as you have heard some of the events already, you will see that the dwarfs still had some days before them. They explored the caverns once more and found, as they expected, that only the front gate remained open. All the other gates, except, of course, the small secret door, had long ago been broken and blocked by Smaug, and no sign of them remained. So now they began to labor hard in fortifying the main entrance and in making a new path that led from it. Tools were to be found in plenty that the miners and warriors and builders of old had used, and all such work the dwarfs and at such work the dwarfs were still very skilled. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly where to go to because my page is different.
One more paragraph.
Okay. As they worked, the ravens brought them constant tidings. In this way, they learned that the Elven King had turned aside to the lake, and they still had a breathing space. Better still, they heard that 3 of their ponies had escaped and were wandering wild far down the banks of the running river, not far from where the rest of their stores had been left. So while the others went on with their work, Feely and Killy were sent, guided by a raven, to find the ponies and bring back all they could.
Thank you. Omar?
Okay. They were 4 days gone, and by that time they knew that the joint armies of the lake men and the elves were hurrying toward the mountain. But now their hopes were higher, for, for, for they had food for some weeks with care. Chief Cram, of course, and they were very tired of it, but Cram is much better than nothing. And already the gate was blocked with a wall of square stone laid dry, but very quick, but very thick and high across the opening. There were holes in the wall through which they could see, or shoot, but not entrance. They climbed in or out with ladders, and hauled stuff out with ropes. For the issuing of the stream, they had contrived a small low arch under the new wall, but near the entrance they had so altered the narrow bed that a wide pool stretched from the mountain wall to the head of the fall over which the stream went toward Dale. Approach to the gate was now only possible without swimming along a narrow ledge of the cliff to the right as one looked outwards from the wall. The ponies they had brought only to the head of the steps above the old bridge, and unloading them there had bidden them return to their masters and send them back riderless to the south.
Thanks, Juan Daniel.
There came a night when suddenly there were many lights as the fires and torches waved south in Dale before them. They have come, called Balin, and their camp is very great. They must have come into the valley under the cover of dusk along both banks of the river. That night the dwarfs slept little. The morning was still pale when they saw a company approaching. From behind their wall they watched them come up to the valley's head and climb slowly up. Before long they could see that both men of the lake armed as if for war and elvish bowmen were among them. At length the foremost of these climbed the tumbled rocks and appeared at the top of the falls. And very great was their surprise to see the pool before them and the gate blocked with a wall of new hewn stone. As they stood pointing and speaking to one another, Thorin hailed them. "Who are you?" he called in a very loud voice, that came as if in word to the gates of Thorin, son of Thrain, king under the mountain, "and what do you desire?"
Thank you. Luis, answer.
Sorry, my turn.
Yeah.
But they answered nothing. Some turned swiftly back, and the others, after gazing for a while at the gate and its defenses, soon followed them. That day the camp was moved to the east of the river, right between the arms of the mountain. The rocks echoed then with voices and with song, as they had not done for many a day. There was the sound too of elven harps and of sweet music, and as it echoed up towards them, it seemed that the chill of the air was warm, and they caught faintly the fragrance of woodland flowers blossoming in spring. Then Bilbo longed to escape from the dark fortress and to go down and join in the mirth and feasting by the fires. Some of the younger dwarfs were moved in their hearts too, and they muttered that they wished things had fallen out otherwise, and that they might welcome such folk as friends. But Thorin scowled. Then the dwarfs themselves brought forth harps and instruments regained from the horde, and made music to soften his mood, but their song was not as elvish song, and was much like the song they had sung long before in Bilbo's little hobbit hole.
Thank you. Manuel, sing.
Oh,
Okay, just read. Just read. Don't be afraid. Or you're gonna sing.
I can try.
Okay.
Under the mountain dark and tall, the king has come unto his hall. His foe is dead, to warn of dread, and ever so his foe shall fall. The sword is sharp, the spear is long, the arrow is swift, the gate is strong, the heart is bold that looks on gold. The dwarfs no more shall suffer wrong. The dwarfs of your made might spells, while hammers feel like ringing bells. In places deep, where dark things sleep, in hollow halls beneath that fields. On silver necklace they strung, the light of stars on crowns they hung, the dragon fire from twisted wire, the melody of harps they rung. The mountain throne once more is freed. Oh, wandering folk, the summons head. Come haste across the waste. The king of friend and king has need. Now call we over mountains cold. Come back unto the caverns old. Here at the gate the kings await. His hands are rich with gems and gold. The king is come unto his hall. Under the mountain dark and tall, the worm of dread is slain and dead, and ever so our foot shall fall.
Thanks. Yay. This song appeared to please Thorin, and he smiled again and grew merry. And he began reckoning the distance to the Iron Hills and how long it would be before Dain could reach the Lonely Mount if he had set out as soon as the message reached him. But Bilbo's heart fell, both at the song and the talk. They sounded much too warlike. The next morning, early, a company of spearmen was seen crossing the river and marching up the valley. They bore with them the green banner of the Elven King and the blue banner of the lake, and they advanced until they stood right before the wall at the gate. Hector.
Again, Thorin Highland, then in a loud voice, "Who are you that come armed for war to the gate of Thorin, son of Thrain, king under the mountain?" This time he was answered. A tall man stood forward, dark of hair and green of face, and he cried, "Hail, Thorin! Why do you fence yourself like a robber in his hold? We are not yet foes, and we rejoice that you are alive beyond our hope. We came expecting to find none living here, yet now that we are met, there is matter for a parley and a council. Who are you, and of what will you parley? I am Bard, and by my hand was the dragon slain, and your treasure delivered. Is that not a matter that concerns you? Moreover, I am by right descent the heir of Gideon of Dale, and if your hoard is mingled, much of the wealth of his halls and towns, which of all small stole. Is not that a matter of which we may speak? Forden in his last battle smote destroyed the dwellings of the men of Esgaroth, and I am yet the servant of their master. I will speak for him and ask whether you have no thought for the sorrow and misery of his people. They aid not thought, they aid you in your distress, and in recompense you have thus far brought ruin only, to doubtless undesigned. Shall I continue?
No, thanks. Krista? 2 paragraphs.
Now these were fair words and true, if proudly and grimly spoken. And Bilbo thought that Thorin would at once admit what justice there was in them. He did not, of course, expect that anyone would remember that it was he who discovered all by himself the dragon's weak spot. And that was just as well, for no one ever did. But also, he did not reckon with the power that gold has upon which a dragon has long brooded, nor with dwarvish hearts. Long hours in the past days Thorin had spent in the treasury, and the lust of it was heavy on him. Though he had hunted chiefly for the Arkenstone, yet he had an eye for many another wonderful thing that was lying there, about which were wound old memories of the labors and the sorrows of his race. You put your worst cause last, and in the chief place, Thorin answered. To the treasure of my people no man has a claim, because Smaug, who stole it from us, also robbed him of life or home. The treasure was not his, that his evil deeds should be amended with a share of it. The price of the goods and the assistance that we received of the lake men we will fairly pay in due time. But nothing will we give, not even a loaf's worth, under threat of force. While an armed host lies before our doors, we look on you as foes and thieves.
Thanks. Omar?
Okay. It is in my mind to ask what share of the inheritance you would have paid to our kindred. Had you found the hoard and guard and us slain? I just question, replied Bart. Why you are not dead, and we are not robbers. Moreover, the wealthy may have pity beyond right on the needy that befriended them when they were in want, and still my other claims remain unanswered. I will not parley, as I have said, with armed men at my gates, not at all with the people of Elvenking, whom I remember with small kindness. In this debate they have no place. Be gone now, ere our arrow fly. And if you would speak with me again, first dismiss the elvish host to the woods where it belongs, and then return, laying down your arms before you approach the threshold. The Elven King is my friend, and he has succored the people of the lake in their need. So they had no claim but friendship on him, answered Bart. We will give you time to repent your words, gather your wisdom ere we return. Then he departed and went back to the camp.
Thank you. Juan Daniel?
Ere many hours were passed, the banner bearers returned, and trumpeters stood forth and blew a blast. In the name of Esgaroth and the forest, one cried, we speak unto Thorin's strange son Oakenshield, calling himself the king under the mountain, and we bid him consider well the claims that have been urged, or be declared our foe. At the least, he shall deliver 1/12 portion of the treasure unto Bard, as the dragon slayer, and as the heir of Girion. From that portion, Bard will himself contribute to the aid of Esgaroth. But if Thorin would have the friendship and honor of the lands about, as his sires had of old, then he will give also somewhat of his own for the comfort of the men of the lake.
Oh, until there I said? Okay. And Luis, right? You finish.
Yeah. Then Thorin says a bow of horn and shoot an arrow at the speaker. It smote into his shield and stopped there quivering. Since such is your answer, he called in return, I declare the mountain beside. You shall not depart from it until you call on your side for a truce and a parley. We will bear no weapons against you, but we leave you to your gold. You may eat that if you will. With that, the messengers departed swiftly, and the dwarfs were left to consider their case. So grim had Thorin become, that even if they had wished, the others would not have dared to find fault with him. But indeed, most of them seemed to share his mind, except perhaps old Fat, Bombur, and Philly and Killy. Bilbo, of course, disapproved of the world turn of affairs. He had by now had more than enough of the mountain, and being beside inside it was not at all to his taste. The whole place still stinks of dragon, he grumbled to himself, and it makes me sick, and cram is beginning simply to stick in my throat.
Oh, wow. And it's 10:30 and we finished 2 chapters. Yay, us. Wanted to say though, hi, chat.
Hello.
For a little chat. I wanted to say that I first watched the movie and like I watched it during the pandemic and then I read the book. And when I was reading the book, it one of the things that surprised me the most is what we have read today, how fast the dragon is killed. It was like the dragon's there and now he's dead. That was, I mean, later reading more Tolkien, because that was my first English, Tolkien English, I got him. That's what he does. It's like, this is not the end of the story. It's going to go on. That was like nothing. A little detail of the story, but at the beginning it felt like the dragon was it. Like it was the end of it, and it wasn't. Omar. But just
Yeah,
raise your open your mic.
okay. I just thinking the same. The old trash. It seems like it was sent by Gandalf rather as a Valar. I don't know, because it's a catastrophe in this moment. In that moment. No,
The
it's
Yucatan.
very strange. They suddenly appear the old trash.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that for next week I'm gonna do a little vocabulary with all the thrush, the raven, the crows, and all the birds that are appearing there. That I at least I don't have a clear image of, honestly.
So a couple of years ago, Catherine Olson and Lorian Schwenk, who have the podcast called A Sacred Fellowship. I don't remember exactly. I was trying to search for it just now. I couldn't find it, but they asked me how long I think it took for Smaug to set Esgaroth aflame. And I did like a little calculation on how big the area was. And I kind of estimated that Smaug would probably be gliding around 30 to 40 miles per hour. And I came to the conclusion that with the dimensions of Esgaroth and the speed of 30 to 40 miles per hour, and assuming a spread of flame that is approximately the width of what his wings probably are. Oh, my computer is making noise. So the spread of his wings and everything, I figured that the entire town was probably on fire in less than a minute.
Less than a minute, and now transform that now that you like your numbers into kilometers, because we don't get the miles. At least I don't.
So 35 miles per hour, I believe, is like 50 or 60. Let me see.
Something more.
Yeah,
and
so
how big was Escaroth?
Yeah, so 35 miles per hour is 56 kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Esgaroth, I'd have to look it up exactly, but I had it in front of me whenever I was, and even then, it's speculative on exactly how big it is, but it's there's a little bit of a description, and I went by Karen Fonstad's Atlas of Middle Earth for a little bit of the information, so I didn't have to start from scratch. But with the dragon gliding at basically the same speed at what birds glide at. Birds glide around 30 to 40 miles per hour. And so if he is approximately as big as he is in Tolkien's painting, A Conversation with Smaug, that one painting where Smaug is sitting on the gold and you can see Bilbo at the front right, bent over at a 90. So if he's about that big, which that dragon, Smaug in that painting is about 36 feet long, which is probably uncorrected for perspective. But just saying that he sets that much on fire at a time is the width of him is how much he sets on fire at a time. Regardless, it would have been approximately a minute if he could set the entire place on fire in about a minute. A minute's a long time whenever you're...
Yeah, we know because we got earthquakes, and when they last a minute, it's
I
they
can
last
imagine.
Forever. They last
I
forever.
can imagine.
Some people are leaving. Can we take a picture just in case somebody else wants to leave? You guys are?
My Spanish copy is upstairs. I didn't have time to go get it.
Shame on you. Krista, you there?
Ahí está Sebastian.
Sebastian sound.
I can't turn my camera on right now.
Don't worry, be happy. Okay, say Smaug. Okay. Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah, and well, and also I felt like in like the first time I read it, and that I had to skip things that I didn't know because it's impossible. There's always vocabulary, but if you just go on, you get it. You get the feeling, you get what's going on. Also, if you have read it in Spanish, if you have watched the movie, I'm saying it because when I read it, I fear that people are not going to want to read it because it's not super easy English. But still, I don't know. What do you guys think, Luis, Hector, of the level? How do you feel about it?
Well, for example, in my case, I don't have too many opportunities to speak in English. For example, the last time I speak in English, fluency was 6 months ago, or a long time.
Last time you entered one of these meetings.
And the reading is, and the practice on my case is not more, has not much frequency, and try to read the book. In my case, it's a little difficult, but it's beautiful because I like the legendarium, as someone says. I have too many books but all are in Spanish. In English, is my third time to to read in English, and it's a little difficult, but I like it. I will try to enter more frequently.
Please do. Please do. Excellent. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know. I tend to do the hardest thing first, and then when you get like the normal thing, it feels easier. So I don't know. This feels kind of like that, and when I'm reading talking, I feel like I do have to concentrate or something, and then when I have to do anything else in English, I'm like, wow, this is so easy. I can't believe it. So in that sense, it helps me. But I have to tell you that I'm reading the letters, and it's so hard. It's so hard because it has so much background about, Oxford and whatever is happening in Tolkien's life and whatever he talks about very specific things. It's a headache, but different kind of headache. But what helps me, and I think it's very helpful, is just to let the brain do the work. I mean, you don't need to make an effort, because the thing is, into rereading, and the second time you read something, you haven't done anything differently, but your brain understands it more for some magic reason of the brains. There's a little elven magic in our brains that makes things work the second or the third time or the fourth time. And with Tolkien, you keep discovering things, and reading in English is just, I don't know, I love it. I must say.
If you try to read the letters, there's a lot of stuff in the letters that nobody would know what he's talking about unless they were there. Like you just read it and you just think, okay, so something was going on that we don't know about, and he's mentioning it. But it'd be no different than if y'all wrote a letter and 50 years later we're trying to figure out what you're talking about when you made a small little joke.
That stuff's hard.
Yeah, most people don't. People read the letters to find out what he thought and in the book stuff, and didn't write it down. Stuff like, Eru being the one that helped Gollum fall in, stuff like that. Like, you read the letter.
We are doing the letters. I mean, we're doing in the Peruvian Tolkien Society, we're doing the letters on Mondays. This is the second semester we're doing them. But in Fanny Amar, Vistas,
yes,
Kyle,
yes, we
we're
reached
starting in English.
the 200. We are on the letter 200.
Yes, yes.
You're on letter 200?
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all already got past 182 and 192. Those are good ones.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're like, okay, this needs to further. We have a list of those who have to be talked about later, because it's impossible to go over them.
Yeah. 182 and 192 they're my favorite ones. And 242 is good too.
Yeah, there are a lot that are really enjoyable.
And then everybody always talks about letter 131. Everybody talks about that one constantly. That's
the most famous. Yeah.
It's the one that is on the Silmarillion, right?
Right. The one to Milton Waldman. Yeah.
And then we're doing them in English. This Friday or next Friday, Krista? It's next Friday, right? Yeah, it's not tomorrow. It's next Friday that we are doing it.
I mean, y'all are always talking about struggling with your English, and none of us people are near as good at Spanish as y'all are at English. It's not even close. None of us can do Spanish like y'all can do English.
Excuse us, you don't know Krista? She just gave us a whole lecture in Spanish, and her Spanish is
really, really good. So Catherine's is pretty dang good too. I mean, but still, every one of y'all, all of y'all say that y'all's English is bad, and it's all really good all the time. Everybody's is pretty dang good,
Yeah, right. That we have a little more time for the first 25 letters. It's not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the first 25. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're short. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember.
Yeah, the first 25 letters, you're not going to get a whole lot of story knowledge out of them.
The
Yeah,
Hobbit.
luckily.
Believe me, we'll be able to talk them to death. No worries.
Yeah.
Sure thing. Okay, then. So this was great. I'll see you, hopefully all, including Krista and Chad, next week. We're starting at 9. I don't know if we are at the same time. We are? We are. I think we were, right? It's 10:44 right now.
So yes, it's 10:44 for me.
Okay, great. So we start at 9.
What time is it for Krista?
I think it's the same.
Okay.
And we're gonna do chapters 16 and 17. And there's no homework because usually we had to read 3 chapters on our own, and it's not always possible. So we're gonna finish on September 21st, just ready for Bilbo and Frodo's birthday.
So y'all are gonna do chapter 16 and 17 in English next Thursday.
Correct.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I'll get time, but I'm gonna try to read 16 and 17 in Spanish. But I have to go slow.
Okay.
I have to have the English and Spanish next to each other, and because it's not word for word, like I'm reading. Sometimes I can tell that the Spanish, that isn't what that says.
Absolutely.
It doesn't say what the English says. So.
Well, you have homework then.
Okay, I'll
rest of
try.
this
I'll
week.
try my best.
Okay.
The
I'll
majority of
remind
my day is people asking me questions, so.
I'm gonna remind you and bother you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. We're gonna have to. We always record, but we can't record the part of the reading. But I kept recording, but then all this part's gonna disappear. But I'm gonna make a closure just for the video. So thank you very much for coming, for being with us for the Kahoot, and for reading and for discussing a little bit. See you next week for the next 2 chapters of The Hobbit. Bye.